Hello everyone, and welcome to One Night at Flumpty'S 3. So, the other day, for those who may or may not have seen, I played samples of the first and second game, just to really get into the Flumpty spirit. And I meant to do this on Halloween, but, there were some complications with me trying to record Dark Deception, and unfortunately, I had to delay that because there were a lot of issues I was running into. Namely, Torment Therapy lagged like crazy whenever I tried to record it, but I'm going to try to record it either today or tomorrow and just bite the bullet and see just if I can get through the level, and hope to God that the rest of the chapter doesn't lag. Because I avoided Chapter 4 for like a month after it released, and I still ran into problems I knew I was going to face. So, you can kind of tell I'm kind of agitated about that, because it felt like all that waiting was for nothing, and I wasn't really... There really was no saving grace that I was gonna have come across from waiting that long, but we'll get into that another time. For now, it seems Flumpty is back to cause trouble for us one last time. And judging from the title screen and how his face looks, I get the feeling he's not screwing around this time. I don't know if I'm going to be able to beat this game because, well, I will admit, I've only seen the jump scares of Birthday Boy Blam and Flumpty, and oh my god, are they horrifying! Like, if I get jump scared by either one of them, I really want to make like a comparison clip of what the other jump scares look like, compared to this one. But, again, we'll get into that later. For now, we gotta get out our bowl and whisk and beat this egg. I hope that was a good delivery. So, we have options. Toggle full screen, hover controls, mouse over movement, and monitor buttons. So basically, you just like hover the mouse over and look over. Or we have click controls, left click movement and monitor buttons, left click button or right click anywhere to take snapshots. Snapshots are gonna make sense in a little bit. Now, I do have an appointment that I'm gonna have to go to in about maybe 15 to 20 minutes, so I'm probably gonna be called in the middle of the video and I'm gonna have to leave, but I'll try to do this when I come back too. So, let's see what we're getting ourselves into. Survive until 6 AM. I don't expect to survive.
Hiya, best friend. Wouldn't you know it, after all this time, you still haven't survived until 6 AM. But if you ever do, I'll finally let you leave. Until then, friends, let's play.
Okay, so I immediately don't like this. You want to know why? Because this is like... Oh, no. 7 cameras. Okay, I can handle 7 cameras. Rip the Owl choked on another fucking bathroom joke. Why are you T-posing? What the fuck? Okay, so this time around, they're really trying to tell us, hey, they're trying to tell us, hey, use your camera flashes wisely, which I'm obviously not doing because I'm a dumbass, because you're gonna need them. So this is really having you rely on the cameras, because you need to know when someone has shown up. Oh my god! Fucking hell! Oh, fucking Gronkfest is alive! Why are you sitting in the fireplace? Weirdo. I'm just like fucking panicking at this point. That's what I'm doing. I'm just panicking. fucking... Oh my god! Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay! Lesson learned! Don't use the camera on Gronkfest! Gronkfest! Whatever the hell! Dear god! Apparently that pisses him off! Who'd have guessed? Oh my god. I don't fucking like that. How am I gonna... I need to... hang on. Oh my god. I mean, I was gonna lose anyway because I was using my camera flashes too often like a dumbass, but that's what paranoia does to you. God fucking hell. Okay. So apparently, when Gronkfest is in the hallway, you're supposed to wait and then he'll leave after 3 seconds. I didn't know that. I did not know that. I genuinely like, if oh my god. I don't know if there was some kind of indicator or some kind of subtle hint or some kind of implication or clue that you're supposed to get to not flash your camera at him, but that actually kind of got me. I thought I did something right, and then just, nope, no, I screwed up. Okay, gonna give it another go. Okay. So...
Hiya, best friend. Wouldn't you know it, after all this time, you still haven't survived until 6 a.m. But if you ever do, I'll finally let you leave. Until then, friends, let's play.
Go away. Okay. So, I need to keep an eye on Cam 5 and Cam 7. What's funny is usually Flumpty is the first one to make a move. But this time, it's Blam. Yeah, there you are, Gronkfest. You weren't looking so happy to see me when, weren't looking so happy to see me when I fucking... No. Oh, you're there. Just wait for it. By the way, that right there, that is apparently a reference to, the Flumpty comics that fucking, Jonachrome once made. And... flash. Yeah, you get the fuck out of here. Oh! You know, I would not have known that because I didn't bother to look. I, honest to God, did not bother to look. Oh yeah, Gronkfest on his way. So when he's in the hallway, I just have to wait, and then he'll leave. Stay warm. Stay toasty. He left. it's the red man. Look over there, it's the red man. Can you scare? Yes, you can with this cartoon gang. It's Eggman, but Red Man works just as good. Oh, you're both there. Who's gonna show up first? Okay. Why? What do you mean I should have stayed away? What? So many mechanics I don't understand. I don't understand what I'm gonna have to look into that too. Okay, so apparently what happened is, when the red man wakes up, he goes through the fiery portal to hell that's in Cam 4. And that portal just so happens to lead into my fireplace. And apparently when I'm checking the monitors, it'll warn me not to go near the fireplace. So... okay? Great. Okay. I'm slowly figuring things out, though. That's a good thing. Did I just say loafing?
Hiya, best friend. Wouldn't you know it, after all this time, you still haven't survived until 6 a.m. But if you ever do, I'll finally let you leave. Until then, friends, let's play.
Keeping an eye on those two cams. So Cam 4, and which other ones? Cam 4, 5, and 7. Those are the ones I need to keep an eye on. Rip the owl, choked on a urinal. Oh. Alright, I had to close the game because I had to go to my appointment, but I'm back now.
Hiya, best friend. Wouldn't you know it, after all this time, you still haven't survived until 6 a.m. But if you ever do, I'll finally let you leave. Until then, friends, let's play.
Okay, so... I have learned from some mistakes. Pay attention to the monitor. Pay attention to Gronkfest when he moves. Look out for Birthday Boy Blam. Oh, and apparently... there is a reason that hot tub is there, but... if I'm skilled enough to survive for long enough, you'll soon find out what exactly the issue is. There you are. I can't guarantee I'm gonna make it. There you are, T-posing. Warm right up, ba-da-da, warm right up. Okay. Warm right up, ba-da-da. Yeah, that's apparently a reference to one of Jonachrome's comics, apparently. Creepy motherfucker. I don't know what that is. Gronkfest is up. I'm gonna try this for, say, half an hour. Gotta keep an eye on that monitor. Birthday Boy Bland's on the way. Yeah, this right here. This is gonna tell me to look out for that monitor. If I stay at the fireplace too long... Kinda like that. Wait. Uh-oh. I fucked up. Okay, so... That was kind of mean. Because I didn't... So, okay. Panic took over. I wasn't sure what to do. They were both there at the same time. I survived until what? 3 AM? I think. Flumpty hasn't made a single appearance. I've just noticed that.
Hiya, best friend. Wouldn't you know it, after all this time, you still haven't survived until 6 AM. But if you ever do, I'll finally let you leave. Until then, friends, let's play.
There's birthday boy Blam. I'm a cactus. You are indeed a cactus. So there's at least a kind of pattern that goes on, so it's somewhat consistent. Also, a nice little snowflake pattern here. Yeah, there's at least kind of a pattern that's somewhat consistent. Where'd you go? There you are. See, I'm gonna try this for like another 15 minutes or so. See if anything really happens. I can't tell if those are crystals or if that's fire. I want to say it's definitely probably crystals. Knowing how bizarre this entire universe is, it's probably crystals. Yeah, it's based on his little comic. Because apparently his name is Kevin Jr. Just wait for it. Creepy motherfucker. Yeah, this right here, okay, he's moving. If I don't manage to get far enough to explain what happens, I will tell you at the end of the video. Creepy ass bitch. Oh, there's Blam. I should probably be checking on the red van room. We're good. I think he's on the move. Okay, so they're doing that. Warm up real quick. Alright, Gronkfest is here. Wait a couple seconds. We're good. Ooh, there it is! Ooh, there it is! Oh no. Do you remember the owl and the beaver? They're coming back. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs! Once he's no longer visible, I have to quickly flash stuff in. Yeah, you saw that shit right. That was the combination of the owl and the beaver. Horrifying. I think this is the best I've ever done. Alright, he's working his way back. Wait for it. Back off! If I run out at this point, I'm just gonna like, or die, then so be it. Fuck it. Because I'm at least satisfied with the progress I made. Just wait until he disappears. Only 3 more flashy flashes. Flash Lavino, it's what I gotta do. Flash Lavino, I gotta make it through. It's gotta stay alive until the hour past night 5. Doodaloo doo doo. Doodaloo doo doo. Yep, stay away. Portal to hell. Back off. Chill. Gotta warm up. Gotta stay alive. I only got 2 flashes. Now I only got 1. I'm probably gonna die. I'm kind of concerned that I haven't seen Flumpty yet. Alright, who's going? Because I'm gonna die from one of you. Okay, that wasn't even... that wasn't even fair. But you know what? I made it to 4 AM. I think that's progress enough for me. The weird thing is, I didn't see Flumpty. And I don't know how I should feel about that. But that was one night at Flumpty'S 3. Sure, I didn't make it to the end like with the other 2 games, but I definitely did get far. There's not really that many characters to worry about. Once you get kind of a rhythm down, it's not that bad. It's all about being very, very cautious with your photography. Because I would imagine that you only have to flash your enemies about 20 times, I assume. Or less, before you win the night. But I gotta say, this was definitely very well done. It had a very different feel from the other Five Nights at Flumpty's games. Mostly due to the fact that, you know, it just feels like it's more about survival than a game. I don't fucking know what happened to Flumpty. In fact, I'm gonna look into that. Okay, so it's probably darker now, but I took a look at why Flumpty wasn't in the main night, and I found out the reason why is because Flumpty has his own night called Flumpty Night, and it's unlocked when you beat the game. And It is utter fucking chaos. If you don't want to know what Flumpty Night is, you can click off the video now, and I'll see you next time. But for those who want to stick around and know and find out what this is all about, Flumpty Night is essentially a night in which Flumpty Dumpty rewinds time back one night, kills all of his other friends, and makes 9 other versions, or makes 8 other clones of himself that all do different things, and combines all the rules of the previous games into one chaotic, packed night. And I think I'm gonna be fine with saying I am not gonna be doing that. Because, dear God, can you imagine having to use 9 different mechanics? Or try to focus on 9 different enemies? I mean, pretty sure you had to deal with 10 different enemies in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. But I think it's actually safe to say that this was my attempt at one night at Flumpty'S 3. Now, before I end the video, I do want to look at something, and I want to show you guys something. Alright, so I wanted to take a look at the questions and answers about One Night at Flumpty'S in general. There were questions for so I want to read this because for those who want to learn more about the whole concept behind everything, I want to look at this. But for those who don't, you can go ahead and click off the video. There were questions for nearly every single Flumpty character regarding their design and their backstory, so I've asked them for each character. What is the backstory of Flumpty? What happened to him in the end of the canon? Why was he designed the way he was? What was the inspiration? What were they going to do in 1 week at Flumpty's? Flumpty was originated in an improvised time travel comic that my friends and I made on a private forum a while back, although most of the comic was lost and I don't recall exactly how Flumpty came to be. What I remember is I more or less introduced Flumpty into the picture out of nowhere, and he had no relevance to the main story. There was this sort of side gag reference in Onaf's 2 newspaper, where a guy was cooking an egg in his kitchen, and Flumpty burst through a window like the Kool-Aid Man, knocking the man out of the way and yelling in distress over the egg murder he had just witnessed. Obviously, his character is inspired by Humpty Dumpty because I find the concept of a big talking egg with a goofy smile and a goofy name inherently funny. Add a cheerful attraction to mass murder and the fun is multiplied. At the end of the comic, in order to resolve, or at least trivialize, all the plot holes our story had developed, I realized that Flumpty was immune to the plot, and then he flew away, over the ocean and into the sunset, never to be seen again at least. Not until I made One Night at Flumpty'S as a joke. If you consider One Night at Flumpty'S, then Flumpty canon ends with the survivor of Flumpty's survival hide-and-seek game becoming his new best friend. These days, I consider the newspaper at the end of Onaf 2's hard-boiled mode to be the canonical end of Flumpty's story. When I tried to make 1 week at Flumpty's, the idea was that Flumpty's story would end with him discovering Golden Flumpty was his inner demon, and to prevent himself from bringing more pain and destruction to others, he would fly away into oblivion one last time and relinquish his inexplicable powers of plot immunity and transcendence of time and space. Since I didn't end up finishing that game, and I got tired of people insisting that I finished it, I released a drawing of Flumpty's grave, saying that he was canonically dead and without his powers. In a sense, you could say he's canonically dead to me because I don't plan to have Flumpty ever play a prominent role in anything else I create from now on. But as far as his own world goes, I say he lives on. So this was made before One Night at Flumpty'S 3 came out. Just so you know. Birthday Boy Blam? If I remember correctly, I drew the first panel of the comic my friends and I made, and it featured a box-headed character with a birthday hat that unintentionally looked kinda like pizza. I'm not sure how his name originated, but someone else introduced Kevin Jr., who was eventually revealed to be an alternate timeline version of Blam. Blam was the innocent protagonist of the comic. Kevin Jr. was the villain trying to lead Blam into a trap for whatever reason, and at some point Flumpty just screwed everything up for Kevin Jr. and ruined the chances of the plot ever reaching a proper conclusion. Birthday Boy Blam and Flumpty were never explicitly friends in the comic, but they definitely weren't enemies, so I made them allies in One Night at Flumpty'S. I also decided to indicate Blam's nearness to the game's office by giving him Kevin Jr.'s attire, since they are technically the same person. You might say Blam and One Night at Flumpty's is like the result of the Blam and Kevin Jr. timelines from the comic colliding into one timeline, even though that doesn't make any sense. I say office in quotes because I don't think the players' rooms in the two games are actually offices. The Red Man? The Red Man is the guy who drank lava and lived, kinda. I had it in my mind since the beginning that he used to be a normal human being that, upon being forced to drink lava by Flumpty, turned into a mutilated but still conscious red skeleton. This would have been revealed somewhat more clearly in a 1 week of Flumpty's with an 8-bit minigame like the ones in Five Nights at Freddy's 3. I don't know why the Red Man has 4 spider-like legs, or a tendency to screw up technology, nor why he seems to be friends with Flumpty. Maybe those are all side effects of being around an all-powerful, reality-warping egg who does whatever he wants and can't be argued with. Gronkfest the Clown. I don't remember having a backstory planned for Gronkfest the Clown. I just remember the office and Onaf has a picture of Ronald McDonald in it. And originally, Ronald was going to climb out of the picture and slowly get closer to the character. But I preferred the idea of having every enemy in the game be an original character, so I made my own clown and named it the first thing that popped into my head. One time, years ago, I drew Donkey Kong with a smile that extended beyond the sides of his face. And I gave Gronkfest a very similar smile because I always found it really unsettling. The Beaver? The Beaver's only purpose is to be Foxy from Five Nights at Freddy's 1 mixed with toilet humor. If I had made 1 week of Flumpty's, I probably would have tried to make up some story about how he's a genetically modified beaver-human hybrid. But I didn't have anything like that planned when I made him. I just asked my friend Josiah Clark what kind of animal I should draw sitting on a toilet, and it ended up being a beaver. The beaver is not present in Onaf 2 for reasons related to the owl, but the story reason I threw together at the last minute is that the beaver died by falling in the toilet, which, as you can tell from Onaf, has a huge deep hole in it. Wait, really? It does? Well, what do you know? It actually does look like... It actually does look like a giant hole. Oh yeah. I've run out. Okay, well that definitely makes the beaver dying make a lot more sense. Oh, also, you probably noticed I had a GIF downloaded. It was what the jump scare of Flumpty looked like in, it was what the jump scare looked like during the Flumpty night. It is actually really fucking freaky. I don't even want to show it just from how freaky it is. I'm not even exaggerating, it's fucking horrifying. Alright. Just close that. Eyesore? When I drew the eyes in Onaf, I just thought of them as the eyes of Flumpty's past victims. After people started asking if the eyes were a character, it took me a surprisingly long time to decide that they could be a single character made out of Flumpty's past victims. So I essentially drew a dinosaur made of corpses and revealed the eyesore's origins in the newspaper at the end of Onaf 2. I have no sensible explanation for why the corpses still have their eyes when Flumpty removes the player's eyes in the game over screens of the two games. The owl? From a story standpoint, I don't know where the owl came from. From a gameplay standpoint, I wanted a monster with a similar function to the beaver in Onaf 2, but since the light switch was a crucial mechanic and I needed the monster to be a threat even when the lights were off, I replaced the beaver with an animal commonly known for being able to see in the dark. That explains a lot. That actually does explain a lot. They're nocturnal, of course. I mean, that means they stay up at night, but you know, they do see in the dark. Since the beaver sat on a toilet, I figured it made sense for the owl to sit on a urinal, being the other porcelain waste bowl that exists in public restrooms. That, and since owls tend to be perched on branches, I thought design-wise that it was better for the owl to be perched on the handle of a urinal than on the flat top of a toilet. Golden Flumpty? Golden Flumpty as a concept was created for One Night at Flumpty's solely because Golden Freddy existed in Five Nights at Freddy's. He has no particular significance except in a scrapped plot of 1 week at Flumpty'S where he was Flumpty's inner demon and kind of the puppet master behind all the senseless violence. Champ and Chump? Onaf 1 and 2 had the same protagonist, the person playing the game. If the games continued beyond what I now consider the canonical ending of the series, then after Night 4 of 1 week at Flumpty'S, there would have been an 8-bit minigame in which Flumpty lures the player and their best friend into a back room. Flumpty would have given the player a weapon and told them they cannot be Flumpty's new best friend until they kill their current best friend. Regardless of the player's response to this, Flumpty would then kill them both, with the player becoming Champ and the friend becoming Chump. They each would have taken on an appearance similar to a single mangled red corpse from Eyesore's body. Let me show you guys something. Alright, so here's Champ and Chump's page. They were going to be part of a plot twist, with the twist involving their backstory. Champ refers to the player character of the first 2 games, while Chump refers to the original best friend of said character. A cutscene would have occurred before Night 4 with Flumpty leading the player into a room where he would say, "In order to become my new best friend, you must kill your old best friend." The player would refuse, which results in Flumpty killing them both, before turning them into Champ and Chump. It is entirely possible that they would have been stunned for longer by camera flashes, much like the Eyesore, but still shorter because the Eyesore has a lot of eyes, due to the fact that they lack eyelids. Actually, is 1 week of Flumpty still around? Alright. One of the reasons I didn't feel like this idea would work is that the minigame would have required there to be a clear distinction between the protagonist of the first 2 games and Flumpty. But there is no way to sprite a character who unmistakably represented the real-life player of the games without knowing their name and appearance. How was Flumpty's gang formed? How did they all meet? Apart from Blam being not Flumpty's enemy in the comic, and the Red Man being a victim manipulated by Flumpty, I couldn't even begin to guess how they all met, as disappointing as an answer as that is. Why does Birthday Boy Blam have powers associated with Flumpty? How can he or other characters look more monstrous as they approach you? How does he turn into Kevin Jr.? Every time I hit page down, the thing scrolls. Alright, here we go. In the comic, Blam and Kevin Jr. were separate entities, each of their own clothing. In One Night at Flumpty'S, they're the same being, and you can see that Blam is still wearing his birthday hat even when he dresses up as Kevin Jr. That's because he doesn't change his clothes, he just quickly puts on a top hat, monocle, and suspenders over the clothes he's already wearing. The characters are able to appear more monstrous as they come towards you because they're cartoon characters. Are my rules for the Flumpy characters inconsistent? Yes. Yes, they are. Is Birthday Boy Blam helping Flumpty to find a new friend so he can be replaced? I personally never intended that, but that's a fascinating theory. Why do all the characters want to kill you? They're all essentially pawns in Flumpty's survival hide-and-seek game. Maybe they're forced to kill you, or maybe they're legitimately grown attached to Flumpty's demented ways and are having the same fun that he's having. It's hard to say. What happened to the Onaf 1 protagonist? As previously mentioned, the protagonist of the first 2 games is any person who has played them. So, canonically, if you beat Onaf 2's hard-boiled mode, you are now Flumpty's best friend. If Onaf had been finished, in Flumpty's world, you and your best friend would now be dead and turned into armless living corpses. How many people have died at either location? Eyesore is made of 20 corpses, I think, so it's safe to say that at least 20 people are on those locations before the events of the 2 games. You could say 21 for sure if you don't count the Red Man who kinda died, and 22 if you count the Beaver falling down the toilet. There might be something I missed, but I maintain that there's also a possibility that far more people have died in the 2 Onaf buildings, and maybe they are never shown because Flumpty has been eating their eyes. Heck if I know. Gross. How did Flumpty find a Freddy head? Has he met Freddy? I like to think Flumpty used his powers of transcending time and space to visit FNAF, kill Freddy, and come back with his head. Does the owl have a significant role in the plot? Not really. What is the stain on the Beaver's newspaper? Let's just say when the Beaver doesn't have toilet paper, he has to compromise sometimes. Oh, gross. But funny. Where exactly are these games set? What are these buildings used for? According to my scrapped plot for Onaf, the buildings are a manifestation of Flumpty's conscience or something. Part of me that likes to think that maybe Flumpty built them as fun houses and they're just in the middle of a desert somewhere. Do you have a solid timeline in your head about the Flumpty lore? This is what I've got. Flumpty somehow assembles a crew of monsters over an unknown period of time. Flumpty volunteers people at random to play a survival hide-and-seek game to become his new best friend. At least 20 people died playing this game and are amalgamated into Eyesore. After a specific person manages to beat the first night, Beaver falls into a toilet and dies for no relevant reason. The player beats the game and becomes Flumpty's new best friend. Was Flumpty laid by a bird or some other kind of animal? How was he made? Flumpty is like a god who somehow existed before time began and has no origin. What type of egg is Flumpty? He's a Flumpty egg. As Jake Jansen once said, inside Flumpty, there's most likely an even bigger Flumpty. How did Flumpty gain immunity to the plot? He's the only one in the Flumpty universe who's self-aware that he's a fictional character, I guess. Where did the Flumpty series take place time-wise? Since the games were first released in 2015, I'll just say 2015. I don't think much about time periods when I make games. I just make worlds using elements of any time period I feel like. Why did Flumpty look for Cupcake's sense of direction? What does Cupcake look like? Did he return their sense of direction? Flumpty was just walking along and noticed a sad Cupcake and decided to help out. Cupcake was a character in the comic who just looked like a kind of flat blue cupcake with a little noseless cartoon face on top. I don't think Flumpty ever returned Cupcake's sense of direction, which was represented by an blue arrow on the ground, but he did say, "Oh hey, I think I saw your sense of direction that way," after which Cupcake thanked him and promptly started bouncing the opposite direction. Oh, I get it! Because you really can't tell which way you're going if you're just looking up all the time. What historical moments was Flumpty responsible for? Allegedly, he was responsible for the apocalypse. Oh, that's right, I think, Onaf takes place after an apocalypse. I think there's something about that. What was the Flumpty apocalypse like? Where he caused it with a meteor? How does the second game happen, like if yesterday the apocalypse happened? Okay, so I want to take a moment, but I want to take a moment to explain something. There is something about how Flumpty... Let me search this up. Flumpty kill a million birds. Oh, no, that's not. Hard-boiled mode, okay. Yesterday, Flumpty killed approximately 100 billion birds with one stone. That stone was a meteorite, and yesterday was the apocalypse. The hell are these? There are hidden messages in the newspaper screen. The hell? It is written in some nondescript ancient scroll that Flumpty once presented a heartfelt speech of the importance of life, and then promptly shot a stranger in the face. That stranger did not survive. Oh god. Flumpty once broke into a man's house because he was cooking an egg. Flumpty was voluntarily arrested for breaking and entering, just so he could escape prison. Jonachrome here. I'm very thankful for the response One Night at Flumpty'S was received, and without the support of the Five Nights at Freddy's community, I never would have made a sequel. While I don't want to linger on making FNAF fan games, I've had a lot of fun with these projects. It's a great learning experience, and I've met some wonderful people. Scott Cawthon, thank you for being a great inspiration to me and so many others. Best wishes to you, sir. Oh my god. There's a hard-boiled mode in Flumpty'S 3 as well? Dear god, this is the only game that has 3 different nights. Alright. Where was I? Alright. I made the One Night at Flumpty'S games intending for them to be nonsensical and have no lore, which is why that article in the newspaper about Flumpty causing the apocalypse exists. And also one of the various reasons I never finished 1 Week at Flumpty'S, which was more serious and story-focused and went against what I feel makes Onaf unique. There was no rhyme or reason to that article, but I'm guessing people will still try to find logic in it anyway. Does Gronkfest have any significance to the plot? Nah. Why is Flumpy an egg? The easiest answer is that Flumpty Bumpty is based on Humpty Dumpty, but you could also say he's the answer to the age-old question, which came first, the chicken or the egg, since he's an egg who supposedly existed before time began. I mean, obviously the egg came first because that's how dinosaurs gave birth to other dinosaurs. What does game over easy mean? It's a play on the two phrases game over and over easy, the latter of which being a way to repair eggs. If Kevin Jr. is Birthday Boy Bland's future self, what's Flumpty's future self? Flumpty. If you could get rid of one character from the Onaf series, who would it be? That's an interesting question. From time to time, I've thought about how I wish I hadn't put the Red Man in the games, because now he's forever attached to the Flumpty universe, when maybe I should have saved his character design for a more original game. When making OAF, did you have any ideas for the phone calls? I can hardly remember anymore. I think my idea was to replace the phone calls with radio news broadcasts about innocent people who were killed or had their livelihoods destroyed by Flumpty. What was your inspiration for the scenery of the games? I love the surreality of it all so much. Thank you. The visual style and scenery in the games was just my attempt at recreating the feeling of Five Nights at Freddy's with my own cartoony style, and while also experimenting with what I considered a somewhat unsettling color scheme. The random objects found in the game's various rooms were a way of making the game more interesting to look at, and also another indicator that the games aren't meant to make any sense. What would everyone's headcanon voice be? I don't picture Gronkfest, the Beaver, the Owl, or Golden Flumpty having voices. We already know what Flumpty sounds like. Maybe Blam's voice would be kinda like Morty from Rick and Morty without as many voice cracks. The Red Man would have some guttural devil voice and never speak intelligible words. What is the Beaver's gender? Flumpy and Onaf originated from ideas between me and my guy friends, so because of the level of guy humor we used, I'd always pictured every monster in each game to be male. Had the games not been inside jokes, I might have made a greater effort to give them gender diversity. How did you plan on making the characters more terrifying in 1 Week at Flumpty'S? With the exception of Flumpty and Blam, I wasn't really planning to make them look particularly different from previous games. I just figured those two would shapeshift a lot more, to the point that Flumpty would have maybe looked like a different monster on every camera. What would Champ and Chump do in 1 Week of Flumpty'S? Would they move together or separately? What would their powers have been? I'm guessing they would have moved separately, but I didn't really think that far ahead. How old is Birthday Boy Blam? No idea. He's probably like those characters in comic strips and cartoon shows who always stay a certain age even if it's been 20 years, and I don't know what that age is. What is inside Flumpty? What is he made of? Organs? Yolk? As my friend said, inside Flumpty is just another larger Flumpty. Although it's possible that Flumpty just chooses whatever is inside of him at any given moment in time. How did Flumpty acquire the severed remains of pop culture icons? You'll have to use your imagination. What does Flumpy eat for breakfast? Flumpty likely has no concept of breakfast, but if he eats anything, it's probably unsuspecting humans and animals. If Flumpty were to fall off a wall, what would happen? Anything could happen, from a harmless bump to the irreversible rupturing of the space-time continuum. Why does Flumpty kidnap people in the first place? What caused him to make this challenge? Flumpy does whatever he feels like, purely for fun. I would say there's no consistency to it, although after thinking about this question, I just realized that most of Flumpy's victims are live human beings, so maybe Flumpy's experience from the old comic with seeing a guy scrambling in eggs subconsciously convinced him that all humans need purification or something. Would make sense. How would the ending have played out? Would there have been a 6th night or custom night? One week of Flumpty's would have had no custom night. I pictured the 6th and 7th nights basically being cutscenes, and although my plans for them were not completely set in stone, the general idea was that Flumpty would realize how many people he has hurt because of his inner demon, Golden Flumpty, and then banish himself from all civilization. Why does the Beaver's feet turn into knives when he runs? To be honest, it's because when I tried animating normal feet, it didn't look right. Maybe. Why were Champ and Chump's skin torn off if they won the game? They were meant to resemble the player and their best friend, but since I couldn't draw what every specific person playing Onaf looked like, turning them into skinless corpses was a logical, vague design that could be applied to just about anyone. Were you going to add any other new characters to OAF? Not any major ones. I thought about having non-specific voices of people over the radio, but that's about it. How did Birthday Boy Blame or Kevin Jr. survive being buried alive? And why? They probably didn't survive, but they were buried in an improvised comic about time travel, so other versions of themselves in different timelines must have re-entered the plot in some way that I can't remember. Alright. How long did it take for you to make the Flumpty games? The first one took 3 weeks, and the second one took 4 weeks. I didn't ask this one because, I think this one's probably out of date. Why do you hate Winnie the Pooh and Friends? That's just jumping to conclusions. I love Winnie the Pooh. Sure, I gored Pooh and Piglet in the Onaf games, the little decorations on the walls, but that's only because their corpses seem like humorous yet creepy additions to the scenery. Frankly, I spent more of my childhood watching Winnie the Pooh than anything else, and it still holds a special place in my heart. If you had to pick, what game would you make next, an RPG or a rogue shooter? I'd like to make an RPG someday, something like Super Mario RPG or Paper Mario where you have hands-on control over your attack and defense while still being kind of relaxed and involving a reasonable amount of strategy. I have ideas, but I don't plan to flesh them out until after Project Comet is finished. Why do you think Onaf was so successful? A lot of fan games of Five Nights at Freddy's were successful just by association, but Onaf probably stood out because it took a different direction from what most fan games were doing at the time, which was trying to replicate the visual style, seriousness, depth, animatronic designs, and scale of FNAF. People who didn't want to play another Five Nights game could pick up Onaf and feel less of a commitment playing it because it was only 1 night long. Didn't take a whole tutorial night to get to the more intense parts, and was just made for a fun time. I also did my best to make the Onaf games fair and polished, which is refreshing if you played a lot of fan games that aren't. What program did you use when you made the 3D map as a reference to perspective in Onaf, or OAF? I used Google SketchUp, took screenshots of the models, and traced them over in Flash 8. And last one here, what was your favorite part of the games to make? Well, my least favorite part of making Onaf 1 and 2 was drawing all the rooms, except for the offices. I can't explain why, but I found it sort of boring and irritating trying to add details to the rooms you see in the cameras, maybe because of their perspectives, maybe because there were so many of them, maybe because it seemed unnecessary since you spend more concentrated time looking at the office than each room on the cameras. I don't know. But that wasn't the question. My favorite part of making the games is harder to say. It was probably either designing the characters for the first game or designing the game mechanics for the second one, because those are what I consider the most original elements of either game. So, there you have it, folks. This has been One Night at Flumpty's 3, plus looking at the Flumpty Q&A. I definitely did enjoy this game a lot, even if I couldn't really beat it. But I know that a lot of you out there may enjoy this just as much as I have. So, thank you everyone for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want more content in the future, subscribe to my channel and hit that bell. And I'll see you next time.